Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I went to the store for a little bit today and it was pretty empty. And it was a pretty popular store, and they try to keep things stocked up pretty regular. Um, and I've talked about this before, but it was 50% of the amount of normal foods that you would find in the grocery section of the store because it had the groceries and it had all the other fun stuff. 50%. Sorry, there was a horn honking outside. Had to check on that. And most of the food that I found that was in the store, I went up and down the aisles looking and checking. It, there were either pork based items, and not a lot of that, more like sausage and bratwurst and those kinds of things. Chickens that were not cheap, like $14 for a small whole chicken, um, or you can get a few chicken thighs or legs or whatever. But most of the cold food storage area was 50% to 65% empty. You could see like black all the way down to the bottom of each case. The things that they did have a decent amount of was things that were almost like meat, but not really meat. Not naming any brands, but I think you kind of get where I'm coming from. Different plant based food options. And I don't want to like get a strike on my YouTube account for saying that, but yeah, there was more plant based options of meat, protein available than there was actual regular meat. And I don't have anything against eating the plant based stuff. I mean, I talk about eating the tofu and the cooking with the TVP and that kind of stuff. But sometimes I just want chicken or steak or pork chops or meatballs or whatever. But today it just was the options just it just wasn't a lot available. Um, And if you get the plant-based thing, that's almost kind of sort of like meat. You may be paying $4.99 for a package of it, which looks good on the prices. But then if you are trying to get even like even like with something like with pulled pork and a plant-based version of that. The plant-based version would be $4.99 and 4.99 or 5.99. Most of them were 4.99. And the regular pulled pork that really is pork was $9. Pulled chicken, 10.99. The price keeps going up, up, up. But even with that being said, there just wasn't a lot. It was like half of what I would normally see in the stores. So I was kind of disappointed at that. Even going up and down the little pizza aisles, where normally you can find those Red Baron pizzas for $5.99. Get a couple of them for $10, maybe $11 or whatever. I didn't even see those in the store today. I saw some weird off-brand name that was mushroom and cheese, and that was $8.99. But if you pick up the phone and you want to call and order pizza from a delivery place, they're gonna charge you $30 or $35 for a pizza, which is what, a slab of bread, a crust, a little bit of tomato sauce, sometimes meat, sometimes cheese, whatever. But is it worth $35. It's actually more worth it to just make it yourself. I'm just saying, that's what I saw today. So I didn't get a whole lot. I just got some beer and cheese brats because they were $5.99 a pack, and they had 5 brats in a pack. So I got 2 packs because since I'm cooking for one, I can take the packs and I can open them and I can separate each brat out and package it and put it in the freezer so that way I'm not only not overeating, but that I kind of have an understanding and account of how many protein servings that I can have for a variety of meals, which is the same thing that I do with the fish, which I've shown in a previous video. When I get the salmon and it's in the larger pack and they're all separately sealed in their own little plastic dealy bobs, I cut open the larger pack, count how many I have so I know what I'm working with, how many meals that'd be good for, and then I put them in their designated area of the freezer. So now I've got these brats and I have the fish. I still have canned goods and those kind of things here. You know, it just didn't seem like as much of the canned goods even in the store today. It looked like about half. Everything was like half from where before it was like, oh, there's plenty, there's an abundance. And I'm telling people it's frontlining. Pull that first one off, nothing behind it. Well, today there was no front one to pull off. You just go up and down the rows and like, oh, okay. Whole lot of space there. So I hope people are prepping. I hope people are getting what they need and storing up and stocking up. I hope that you are trying to grow something at home because that is possibly something that can help you through the year. If you ain't getting no seeds yet, you better run to the dollar store or the hardware store or somebody's store. Get you a few packs of seeds. Get you some soil, if you can find some soil anywhere. And get a few containers, um, flower pots or whatever. If you live in a house, then it's different because then you can put it in your outside space. If you're in an apartment building or a condo association or a townhouse association, you kind of have to go by the rules of the association and you have to consider, is the soil in the area that you live in healthy or not healthy? Because if it's not healthy, you're not going to want to be growing anything there to eat. You may just want to grow it so you can look and say, oh, it's green and pretty. But what you put in your body makes a difference in your life. Um, and so, I'm still growing, but it's hard because I don't have the fertilizer. So I'm doing everything very natural. I've got the hydroponic gardening where I'm just doing the basil, which I will show you that later. And I am doing turnips and lettuce on my middle shelf. And I've got a bucket of beets that I'm growing on the bottom shelf. And every time I grow something, I will try to store most of it. Um, I can do the canning and the jarring stuff. A lot of it, I'm just going to dehydrate. I'll be honest with you because it works for me and it saves a lot of space. And I can just put that stuff away. So I can just do that, know that I have it put up, and be able to pick and choose and use what I need to when I need to. That's how that goes. But there's not a whole lot out there. Even the food shelves that are in the community that give out food, especially like in the senior community, like for senior citizens and communities for people that are older or disabled, they may have options at a variety of food shelves, and it's crapshoot. You really don't know what you're going to get from one time to the next. Um, One time, there may be a lot of offerings for people that are lined up to go through those food shelves. The next time, maybe they're not. because it all depends on what they're getting and what they have available and what's happening in the situation with the farming and the gas prices, which we already know are rising. Um, I applied for a food box program this year and I was accepted. I did get an acceptance letter. So it was supposed to start a week ago, but at the last minute, they had to send me an email and say that things had to be postponed because they really didn't have a lot of food yet and they want it to be fair and equal to all the people they have in the program. It's a community cooking program. What they do, if you sign up and register, you can look online to see if there's something like that in your area. If you're approved to be in that program, once a week from sometime in June through December, you'll get a box shipped to your home. Decent sized box and no canned goods, all fresh food. So it may be like cabbage and potatoes and onions and garlic, things like that. Sometimes meat, from what I've heard. This is my first time trying this program. I've known other people to do the program, and some liked it and some didn't because some really just want to do their instant food cooking. I like whatever can be healthier and whatever I can break it down and maybe make more meals out of it than what is typical. So I'm excited that I have been chosen to be a part of this program. Well, they send that box once a week, and in the box with the food items, which includes rice and sometimes dried beans or whatever, they'll put a couple of recipe cards. And the whole deal is that they want people to try out those different recipes, see what they think about that food. How do they feel about eating something that's a little healthier and better for your body? So definitely down for getting more recipes and for being able to try out something new and to be able to use part of that food to do the little plan and program that they have, but to use the other part where I can make some other things that I like to make. And if there's extra garlic left over or extra onions left over, yes, I will absolutely dehydrate it because that's how I roll. Um, it'll be coming soon. Whenever that does start, I will be doing my unboxing right here on YouTube to share that information with you so you can check it out too and get an idea of how that program works and see if it's something that maybe you might be interested in the future. We have to be kind of prudent and diligent and find ways to increase our resources wherever we can to have what we need because, you know, on the horizon, which I've been saying this for a long time, and I think about a month ago I was saying within the next 3 months, I do believe that we're going to see things get really hard, um, food wise and resource wise in the community. So if you need things like tools, batteries for emergencies, whatever, first aid stuff, needle and thread to sew up your clothes if you get a rip or a tear. If you need aspirin or Tylenol or Motrin or ibuprofen, get what you need now, seriously, because times are changing. And from the looks of things, it's getting a little rougher every day. People get caught up in this person being slapped, this person, making some libel case against their ex husband or ex wife. Well, they were married. Of course, they're going to hate each other. Of course. Don't get caught up in the distractions. Really pay attention to what's going on around you and really try to prepare yourself for what's coming up because this thing is real and it's serious. Look beyond today. Look beyond tomorrow. Look beyond next week. You know, FEMA says you should have this amount of food. You know, really, we need to have more than 3 weeks put back. 3 weeks is a good start. But if at all possible, get you some extra canned goods that you can put up. And although some people are not too crazy about rice, rice is something that can be a filler if times get tough and there's nothing when you go to the store. And let's be real about it. The stores have been up and down like a roller coaster. We need to have what we need to have. That's why I dehydrate foods. And of course, if you watch my channel for any amount of time, you've heard my story over and over again about storms and power outages and me living through civil unrest and a variety of incidents. And when the civil unrest happened a couple of years ago with the whole issue with the police, there wasn't no stores open around me because large masses of people went and burned things down. They broke in, they stole, they pillaged, they destroyed the hardware store, they destroyed the gas station. This is real life. And I'm sorry, this isn't all entertaining and fun, and I'm not like juggling balloons or whatever people are expecting. This is for real. It was total destruction. It was overwhelming because I ended up having to bug out, of course. And when I came back 3 days after the big mess and the army tanks going down, well, National Guard tanks going down the street behind me, all I saw was damage and chaos. People still going into broken broken into and torn up hardware stores and gas station and trying to find anything they could and taking the shopping carts from that place, grabbing whatever they were able to, dumping it into the cart and running away like they had lost their minds. It was like watching Mad Max. I don't know if you into, that movie. It was kind of like one of those scenes and it was really happening right in front of my eyes as I walked down the street and looked at the chaos and the devastation, the graffiti tagging, burnt out buildings, people posting signs, please don't destroy our building, families with children live here. But what can we do after that? Well, we certainly weren't going to our neighborhood grocery store because it wasn't open. We were not going to Walmart and CVS, which are the drugstores, pharmacies, because they weren't open. Because when they were open, somebody broke in, tried to steal everything they possibly could, and then set the places on fire. So the things that were closer around me in proximity to where I live all got tore up, you know. But did I have to worry or be in despair? Not really, because when I went through the storms with the major power outages, I learned that it's important to prepare, and that's why I am prepared. But it was scary, and yeah, I did have to bug out for 3 days. Sometimes you may have to bug out. Sometimes you might have to bug in, especially if you don't have a vehicle or or your vehicle isn't running or you don't have anywhere to go. Or maybe the crowd is right outside your door setting trash cans on fire. They were doing that too. They were doing any and everything they could. It was just really horrible. And all this civil unrest was going on at the same time that COVID was out there. And I know people don't like to say COVID, but yes, COVID was out there. Let's keep it real. It was there, and I got it during that time. But now there's a peace in that situation in my area. But the food situation, I mean, it's still a food desert. You've got this and that and the other group that's giving out food bags, either food bags, food boxes, or having a line set up where people can fill out the paperwork and they can walk through with their grocery bags and they can try to pick up one of this, two of that, or whatever, you have that. It's an option for now. But to go into the grocery stores and to find the things that you're comfortable eating, it's not always going to be guaranteed because I'm telling you right now, what I saw today, slim pickings. And I don't want to eat what other people think that I need to eat. I want to eat the things that I like to eat as often as I'm able to. That's why, some of those companies that offer freeze dried food, it's not such a bad option. I know I did the video on that breakfast meal that was from the freeze dried company, and after I open the can and everything, then I'm reading on the side of the can that says, when the can is open, the food is good for 7 days. What? Obviously, I kept the food for longer than 7 days. Obviously. But that's what they were saying. So, because they said 7 days, I just took and I dumped everything into a nice big bag, sealed it back up, put that bag inside of the can and put the lid on it so that way I can stack them, but I'll still work on finishing that before I would open something else. And honestly, I'm not trying to open up all my cans right now. Now that I know how that tastes and I know how that product works, I can save that other stuff for those rainy days because the rain is coming and not in the good way where you're just getting, you know, the produce that you need. Because honestly, in the area that I live in, it has been forecasted that there will be less rain and fewer crops to harvest this year. Now, we already know last year we had fewer crops. We had, like with the coffee situation. I'm usually got my cup of coffee or whatever. With the coffee, 1/3 of the crop was all they were able to harvest last year because there was like a fungus in the crops. Hopefully, you've seen that video. If not, you got to go back to the summer of 2021, where I talked about that and how I predicted that the price of coffee was probably going to be going up. And yeah, it has gone up. You're getting less and you're paying more. Shrinkflation with a little bit of everything. They cut out 4 or 5 ounces of this or that or the other. Make the box or the packaging look the same, but you're getting less, and then they add a few dollars onto it to try to cover from the money that they're having to spend on gas to transport things, allegedly. So we're living in a time when things are changing rapidly. If you know that when the winter comes and you live in a part of the world where when the winter comes, you're going to have snow, you need to make sure that you have your winter stuff together now, package up, and put it aside so when winter comes, you're like, okay, I'm ready. Boom, you can take it out. If you live in such an area. Now, if you live in an area when the winter comes, it's still like 90 degrees, you probably don't have anything to worry about in that situation. But here in Minnesota, yeah, it gets cold. So I have what I have, but I try to think about others and what others might need, and where some people look at the winter time as a time to go out and do gift giving and buying all this stuff. Look, I have yarn. What do I do with all these yarns? I make sweaters, I make scarves, I make hats, I make clothes with yarn, or material, whether it be a cotton brand of material, linen or wool or whatever. I've made coats even. check your own self out and see what kind of skills you have and how they can best be utilized. Look further into the horizon and see what kind of things am I going to be needing in the next 3 months and in the next 6 months and in the next 9 months. What will I need that I don't have right now, and how can I prepare for that now? Even if it means that you're going taking baby steps now to get those things done so that it's ready at the appointed time, take those baby steps. Get your stuff together because times are changing, and if you want to be comfortable and be ready for whatever's coming up, that's a work that you'll have to do within yourself. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today, and I will see you again soon.